As you know, in that part of town, or part of the state, I should say, NASCAR in particular is not super popular, actually. So I grew up as probably you. My parents just happened to be one of few race fans in the town, and that's how I got into it, was watching it on TV every weekend, going to the go-kart track and just, you know, doing the rental ride thing. So that's really how it all started for me. I was a fan coming to these same tracks. So to be racing, it's pretty surreal. I guess it's just a lot of hard work and networking, just trying to meet the right people, surround yourself with the right people, and taking it, you know, one race at a time every time.
All right, go ahead, sir. Off here to the left, guys.
Hey, Michael, always been a lifelong fan of yours. One thing I want to ask, as a fellow Christian, how is it that Christ has helped you throughout your career, whether it be through the highs or even the lows that you've experienced throughout your career?
Yeah, well, thank you. You know, I think that, you know, racing is just like, I shouldn't say it is just like, but your life is just like everybody else's, right? You have ups and downs, highs and lows. Ours are just a little bit more public, you know, but y'all are going through those same highs and lows, and, you know, with jobs and family and careers and all those things. So, you know, for me, what has really grounded me in that is knowing that who I am is a follower of Christ. What I do is I get to race cars, and that's awesome. I love doing what I get to do, but it's not who I am. So not allowing those ups and downs to define who you are, but just staying grounded in your faith and who you are. And then also too, for me, when it wasn't a lot of fun, when I was starting parking and just driving whatever to stay in, I think my faith was really strengthened during that time, because I always felt like one day I'll get a shot and one day I'll be in position to have an opportunity to win a race, but it felt very distant at the time, you know. So yeah, it's every day just like it is for you guys, you know, just the highs and the lows. And, you know, so what I try to do is not let my highs be too high and not let my lows be too low, and that seems to help, especially in this sport.
And it's the thing too, and it is a great question, because, you know, we have MRO that's out here, but you also have done Bible studies with, you know, David Reagan and Maddie D and all those things. So there's a little group here too that you guys kind of follow through with that on race weekends. That it's not just, you know, once in a while. Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, this is all I've ever done on weekends for the last 20 years. So, you know, this is church for me, being in community with the other believers in our sport. So most Sundays I'm here at the racetrack, and so it's hard to be plugged in. And so we have, you know, we have community, we have MRO, we have chapel, and all that has changed over the last few years with just all the protocols. But, you know, we still get together, we try to make it a priority, and, you know, this is our church here.
All right, go ahead, right here in front.
Racing, because it is a little bit nerve-wracking. I mean, this is, you know, Daytona and Talladega is a place where you hug the wife an extra couple seconds before you leave the house, because you really don't know, like, if you're going to get hurt, knock on wood, like, this is going to be a place you can get hurt. So you know that going in, and you assume the risk, because that's what you get. That's what you grew up wanting to do. So, you know, it's a little bit scary, but sometimes you got to ride with the cougar in the car, like Ricky Bobby said.
Corey, you talked about, you know, running that 15th, 20th spot, and people don't realize how tough it is to run 15th or 20th.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about those cars running first, second, third, fourth, fifth, but talk about how tough it is, because we don't understand how tough it is to run mid-pack even.
Yeah, it's anybody F1 fans here, a little show of hands, like people that watch that F1 Drive to Survive series know, like, the Mercedes, I mean, Verstappen talks about it all the time, like, the guy running 12th in the standings could win a world championship in a Mercedes car. It's not quite to that extreme in NASCAR, but there are clear differences in speed between I mean, if your name's not Kevin Harvick, if you don't drive for Hendrick, Gibbs, or Team Penske, you're not in the playoffs. Every other team is out of the playoffs except for one of those three teams. So, you know, that's how far gap the research, the development, and the speed of those cars are compared to the guys who get trickle-down stuff. So I don't love hammering on like the woe is me, we don't spend enough money, we don't have the stuff, but trying to take what we have, make the most of it. Stack pennies is kind of the moniker. It's what the name of the podcast is. So if we stack more pennies than the guys we race around throughout the course of the day, that's what our goals are. So yeah, it's hard to explain the difference because they look, you know, from the 20th row of the grandstand, they all look the same, but I can assure you, looking at Kyle Larson's car does not look the same as my car. So, but you know, that's the goal. You keep sticking around, keep grinding.
Corey, this brings me right up to my next question with this young man. What's your name?
Derek.
Derek, what's your question?
How did that start start? I'm curious to know how it started. Yeah, it's a great question. So, honestly, it came to my rookie year at Custer. I was driving for BK, which was like the bottom of the barrel. I mean, if Rick Ware would have been going to the finals, they would have been beating us at BK. So, after a couple weeks, I was like, you know, we were bottom 3. I started overdriving, crashing a bunch. Stuff was falling off, like the worst possible scenario you could script. And my confidence was so low that I couldn't even get motivation to go to the racetrack because I knew I was going to run 30th. More than likely something fall off or happen that just makes your day go bad. And then you start looking at Twitter and like the snowball starts rolling. So, you know, mental health is a big thing now. And I had to literally figure out ways to like keep myself motivated. So I started seeing a sports psychologist legitimately just like figure out what I was doing and like why I was in a, I guess what would be considered a mild state of depression. So we figured out little things. It didn't matter how fast my car was to like quantify a victory over the course of the weekend, whether that be pit road rolling speeds, not having a penalty on pit road, positive restart retention. Like there was like 5 or 6 pennies that I could quantify if that was a win or not for the weekend, and you start stacking them up. That way, once I get to Aspire Motorsports and our cars go faster, it's the little details that add up to a better day. So, stuff I've learned 4 years ago, applying now, pretty much every week.
How did you get your start in racing? For the fans that don't know, they see you now, sitting here today. When? What age did you get your start? Was it your dad that got you started? Was it you that got? I mean, did you walk up to your dad and say, "Hey, listen, I want to do this," or did he say, "You're gonna do this"?
He never said you're gonna do this. Obviously, my dad was a 2-time, what's now Xfinity, it was used to be Busch Series champion, 96 and 7. So, you know, when I was 3 years old, he stuck me in a go-kart not knowing any better. But he never told me, like, this is what you're gonna do. It was more like, hey, like, I really don't want to pay for this, so you better really want to do it. You want me to keep paying for it. And, you know, from the time I was probably 10, 11 years old, I was going around trying to find tire sponsors and fuel sponsors and somebody who put fuel in the dually. Like, I was as much of a salesman when I was 11 years old as I was trying to be a race car driver because it all kind of like coincided. So, yeah, it never was a, you're going to do this. It was really more like, you're going to be a financial burden on the family if you don't figure out how to pay for this. And I think all of my, what would be my college tuition budget went to my racing budget. So, yeah, it wasn't, I mean, granted, my grandfather did it, my dad did it, so it's in the blood a little bit. Anybody that kind of gets a start gets bit by the bug early, and, you know, I was fairly good at it. Had some success at a younger age. I was playing baseball simultaneously, so my junior year in high school was when I had to choose to pick baseball or racing, and I went full-on racing.
Before I get to the fan,
I spy a driver.
Oh, I love it, I love it.
I see driver of the #1 Monster Energy F-150 for DGR.
There
Hailie
she
Deegan,
is,
everyone.
our sweetheart.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, rushing as ever.
Welcome.
Typical race days.
It's typical race day. We got 2 for the price of 1 today.
Yeah.
We got a good crowd. We got a nice day here. And we're going to get some questions here from the group.
Yeah.
But I can't help but start with the obvious thing right in front of us here, this beautiful F-150. You actually got to drive this for a video.
Yes,
what
I
was that
did.
experience back? Tell the fans about this.
Oh, it was so much fun, and just seeing the new truck, the new body on it, it looks amazing, and I think it's really going to help us out for next year.
For those of you, we have a Ford Performance social channels, if it's YouTube or if it's Facebook. You can see the video Hailie did in this truck. We posted it last week. It was last Thursday or Friday we posted. It's a really good video, so if you get a chance to check that out, by all means do so. We'll start with some questions here from you guys. So let's start right in the back in the middle.
Yes, hi, good morning, Hailie. I'm back here.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
My question today for you today is how long do you think you'll be in the truck series before you think you feel like you're ready to go to nationwide?
I think that I'll be in the truck series. I had this year, I felt like was a good learning year. I feel like I learned a lot just about the trucks, about these new tracks we went to, a lot of new tracks for me personally. And so I think my goal would be, obviously I don't know if this will happen or not, it could change as of next year, but I would like to run another year of trucks before I go out.
And you're always learning. It doesn't matter if you've come out here for 5 years, 10 years, you're always learning. But when you don't have practice or qualifying, I mean, are you starting to feel more comfortable when you come back here maybe for the second time or for the first time? Do you feel more comfortable as the year's gone on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was getting more comfortable in the truck because they do handle a lot differently than any of the other cars I've driven, than K&N cars, ARCA cars, a lot differently. They're a lot more sensitive to air. And I feel like that's something I've really had to learn this year, and I feel like we've gotten a lot better at. I feel like some of our best races are 1.5-mile tracks, which are usually the hardest for new drivers. So I feel like it's really great that we have good runs there, but I think going into next year, we're going to have a lot more experience and comfortability on our side, so we should do a lot better.
Okay, Nicole, here we are.
Right here down in the front, this young lady.
What is your favorite track to race on?
I would say my favorite track is probably Gateway. I just really love Gateway probably because I had my best run there, but I raced there quite a bit before in the K&N series, and being able to shift there is really fun in the trucks. You don't do that any other track, besides road courses.
And now we'll be going there for Cup next year too, so we'll be able to get everybody over at Gateway. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Hailie, how you doing?
Doing good, how are you?
Favorite Ford driver?
Favorite Ford driver?
No, I'm saying you are.
Oh, you're all right. Thank you, I was going to say Kevin Harvick, but...
Hey, after Vegas, I saw the video from Chase Mate.
Yeah.
What you said about how you're going to start driving. Are you going to drive like that today?
We're going to do that. I can promise you that.
Yeah, you need to step it up and just go for it. That was very traumatic about what you were saying in the trailer after that. And I was like, yeah, it's about time. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you do watch the YouTube channel because I feel like we do put a lot of time aside really trying to show what goes into these race days, what happens before the races, what happens after, the true story of it, because a lot of people might think, oh, hey, they don't get emotional after races, it doesn't actually wear on them, but most people just don't show it. So I want to be the person to show what actually happens, what actually goes on, to truly show you guys what I'm experiencing and going through.
Okay, go ahead, right in the front.
Hey, Hailie.
Hi.
Question.
Yes.
You ran here a couple years ago, maybe I don't know, I can't remember. You did really good in ARCA, I think.
Yes.
How do you think you're going to take that talent from ARCA to the trucks here?
I think that racing here in ARCA was probably going to be a lot easier. It was probably going to be a lot easier, to let you know after the race, but I think that the competition in ARCA, there's a lot less competitive cars, and so going to the truck series, the competition is stout. A lot of great trucks, a lot of great drivers, so it does make it a lot harder, but I think just being able to come here a second time, it's going to give me that comfortability factor on my side, which truly helps a lot, and I think that going here, we do have to start quite a ways in the back because of what happened at Vegas, but we're just going to try and make our way forward and have another good run.
Starting 26th today.
Yeah.
So get in that draft and just kind of follow somebody right through, right?
Yeah, gotta make the right moves at the right time.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi. So as far as Talladega goes, fixing up your car in that first couple of cautions, is that important? I mean, it's a gas and go type of race, so are the competition cautions going to be important coming in to making those adjustments? Or even at the first stage, you're making a lot of adjustments, or is it?
Not really on super speedways. That's something you more focus on. More of the short tracks, the 1.5 miles are very important for that stuff. Giving good feedback, which I feel like we've gotten a lot better at, and I feel like my feedback has gotten a lot better. That's why we tend to have better runs at 1.5 miles. But tracks like these, you just kind of grab some fuel and go quick as possible.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks, Hailie. Get out there.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Well, I'm curious too, because at this stage you got guys who are in playoff mode, who are looking for those stage points and all, but you're in a different situation. Is it something where in your meetings and your debriefs where you're just looking at the big picture of the race, not so much concerned about the stage 1 or stage 2 result, but setting yourself up for the checkered flag?
Yeah, the most important lap is the last one, and so I think it's just constantly trying to set ourselves up to be there at the end. And obviously, you see people kind of hang back, try to play it safe at these super speedways, but it doesn't always work out. So our mindset for this race is to go and just hope for the best. If we end up wrecked, we end up in a wreck, is what it is. It's Talladega, we're gonna go out there and try to win.
All right, there we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've seen a lot of your videos and your family's history of the dirt racing, motocross jumping. Does that calm your nerves for this, or is it completely different?
Oh man, it's very different. It's kind of funny. I just called my dad yesterday, talking to him, and he doesn't even fully understand the NASCAR racing world yet, and trying to kind of explain it to him, because I'm learning myself about a lot of this stuff, because I am still pretty new to the NASCAR world, but coming from dirt racing, obviously, I'm very knowledgeable in that stuff, so we're learning in the NASCAR side, but I think that he is still learning with me, and I'm having to teach him a little bit about it every single race.
Moving from California to North Carolina is a big part of that process too, right? How do you like this since the move? It's been good?
I love it. I truly love it. Being out in North Carolina around the race teams, and everywhere I go, I have someone come up to me and be like, hey, I'm a big fan, can I take a picture? And I love that. I love seeing people who watch my racing and watch my career, my YouTube channel, my social media. And so it's super cool to just be around like the whole scene, and everyone knows everybody in the racing world, and everyone's kind of in the same place.
All right, I think I see we have a question right here. There we go.
Hey, Hailie. I was just curious to know, how does it feel to get to be like one of the few like female drivers in the sport, and like the influence that it can have on all the other women and young girls who want to become racers?
Yeah, it's super cool. I love it. I love embracing that I am a girl racer out there. There's not many of them in the truck series or any series in NASCAR, and I think that it's cool to see younger girls come into racing. I actually, back when I raced off-road trucks, when I won my championship there, that kart that I did win the championship with, I had a few offers on it, and there was this little girl that came up to me and wanted to race that kart that I won with, and I was like, you know what, we're going with you. I was like, even if you're not paying as much, I want to help you and help your career. And so we went to the go-kart track together just to truly help her out, because I do like seeing them succeed.
All right, do we have
Anybody else? Yeah? Okay. We got one.
Okay, what happened when you were in the SRX? Why didn't you pass Tony Stewart?
It's a little tough to pass Tony. I think that just comes, yeah, it comes with experience. And I think back in the SRX series, that last race that we did, I think it was at Nashville, and we were door to door coming to the finish, and my car was just a little too tight. It was tough to make the corner, and I was like, man, I am not gonna be the person to take Tony Stewart out in a race right now. Like, that's not the move. And so I was like, we're gonna drive him hard to the finish, and then he drove me hard to the finish. I was like, I'm gonna get put in the wall. So I think that was just such a fun experience, and be able to talk with him after the race, and like being able to say like you came to the finish line right next to Tony Stewart is just like a bucket list thing.
You don't even feel that strange about it anymore. You kind of just go out and race. A place like Talladega isn't too bad because, you know, handling isn't as much of an issue here. But when we go to like a road course or something, that's probably the most unique feeling. You have no braking points. You're totally relying on memory, what you did on the simulator. So it's like you're putting a lot of trust in a lot of other things and not necessarily live in-action experience, which is weird. But, you know, to answer it, I've gotten a little bit, as much as you can get used to it over the last year.
Absolutely, and NASCAR likes to make it a little bit more difficult on you guys because now you guys have several road courses in on the schedule, so they're really and new ones too. Circuit of the Americas, there is no braking points, there's no muscle memory there. Definitely testing you guys.
Well, yeah, and we went to Circuit of the Americas this year, and we went out. We actually did have a practice there, but it was pouring rain, so it was about the most useless practice we had all year as far as trying to get some points down. So we went out and practiced in the pouring rain. Went to qualify and it was dry, so we had to totally change the driving style again. And then we went to race. It was dry for about 20 minutes, and it started raining again. So it was an interesting race, but it was fun. As a driver, that's kind of fun. You love to be challenged, and you love some new stuff. So that was cool in its own way. It was neat.
Awesome, awesome. So there has to be a benefit though to not having a whole week's worth of work to do with several practice sessions and then going into qualifying and stuff like that. I mean, does that open up more time for your family? What does Erik Jones do on a normal day-to-day when he's not racing?
Yeah, I mean, not only has it had us spend a lot more time at home, you know, obviously we used to come to the racetrack on Thursday evening and we didn't leave till, Sunday night. We get home pretty late, midnight, 1 in the morning. So not only, that's hard on drivers and their families, myself, but it's really harder on the team guys. You know, those guys are working Thursday to Sunday. They're coming back in the shop on Monday, working all week, taking back off and going to the racetrack. So really hard on the team guys racing on that kind of schedule. So their livelihood is improved, tenfold. Just getting to spend more time at home. For me, I've just been able to do a lot more around the house, just working things that sound silly, just cutting my own grass, doing things like those are things that I didn't do before with my schedule. I just never had time. I wasn't at home. Between getting home and doing the things I needed to do at the race shop, media appearances, the 3 days I was in North Carolina, I wasn't spending a lot of time at my house. So it's just helped me, spend more time at home and have a more normal schedule where I have more time at the house and being around and hanging out with friends, family, and able to do more things away from the racetrack as well. So I mean, I can't lie, it has helped, my livelihood for sure, but I do miss the time of being at the racetrack with my team, being with those guys 3 days a weekend and working towards a common goal through practice and qualifying and trying to make the car better and trying to go win a race. That was a fun experience for me. It's something that I do miss, but it has helped in other ways.
Well, it's dried up a little bit here, so it's good. It's good. I can't help but notice that the song being played here, Top Gun Danger Zone. Are we in the danger zone here? What do you think?
I think anytime you come to Talladega, you're in the danger zone. I mean, it's a place that's really unpredictable. You're trying to avoid that big one. Hopefully you get a little lucky, and hopefully you're out front at the end.
All right, if you've got a question for Cole, Nicole is right here. And sir, you're perfect timing here, so go ahead and ask your question. You're first up.
Hey Cole, just thanks for coming out and seeing us. I want to ask you a question of what's your favorite series? I mean, you've driven it all, but what's basically, it's other than an easy word to say, easiest to drive in?
For me, I always liked the Xfinity cars. For whatever reason, that package, I feel like, with a little bit higher horsepower, lower downforce, it always just kind of suited my driving style. So I always like driving the Xfinity cars for sure.
It helps when you win 7 times in one season,
yeah, that
right?
helps everything. Winning helps everything.
And if someone asks what's your favorite track, Kentucky, right, on the Cup Series?
Yeah, Kentucky, and then they take it off the schedule. So.
Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Cole. You think it's going to be a calm race? You think it's just going to go all out from the get-go? What do you think it's going to be like tonight?
That's the thing about speedway racing is you just kind of take it lap by lap. You really have no idea how it's all going to play out. I think with the rain and, if we're under delay, it could be a crazy race. People might get antsy, but it's one of those things, you just try and take it lap by lap and try and take it circumstantial. If it's getting crazy, you might want to get out. And if it's, pretty calm, you're going to stay in the pack, but there's not really a set plan, I don't think, going into it. You just kind of take it lap by lap.
All right. It's a good question, though, because last week at Bristol, we saw all 3 races at Bristol last week. Kind of something happened on the last lap where it was a great finish. And I know you guys watched these races, and like yesterday, I mean, we had to call it because it got dark. There were so many accidents and things happened. But do you get a sense for how the track is, even though you're not on it, by watching those races? Because we've had 2 races just like last week that stuff has happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just gets you back in the mindset, especially when you're in the Cup Series, you're able to watch the truck race and the Xfinity race. It kind of gets you back in the mindset of speedway racing. It's so much different compared to what we do on every other weekend. So being able to see how the drafts work and see what guys are doing and what moves they're making, and it's just, it kind of gets you back in that mindset of what you got to do on Sunday.
We hear a lot of talk about when it rains like it did here, the rubber gets washed off the racetrack. Oh, it's going to be a green racetrack and all. But here at this place, with it being so wide, does it matter if it rains or not? Does the track conditions change much because of this rainstorm? What do you think?
The biggest thing is just if there's puddles. I mean, especially coming to pit road, weepers usually build up on the apron, so that's the biggest thing you'll probably look out for after it rains. I think last year it rained and there were a few guys who wrecked coming to pit road, so that's probably the biggest thing.
You're starting 28th today, P28. So that's kind of, you know, the back part of the midway portion.
We gotta go forward.
You gotta go forward. So, I mean, how do you attack that? Do you look to see where your teammates maybe are elsewhere on the grid? Do you look for other Fords? What's your plan of attack as this race gets ready to start?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go race. You know, we're gonna be aggressive and try and get to the front. But like I said, if we're in a bad spot and it's getting really crazy and it's not the time to be crazy, we might drop back. So, you know, but like you said with your Ford teammates, honestly, that's one of the biggest things about our Speedway racing in the Cup Series right now is you try and work with your different manufacturers. And, you know, when you get 10 cars working together, you're pretty much unstoppable. So being able to have those teammates out there with Fords, it really plays a huge role and it really helps us out.
Strengthen.
Go ahead, Ryan. I'm gonna see how far you can go. Yeah, it's all in the wrist. Did you guys just fly in? I'm just curious.
I didn't. We're on rolling on the robot. With not the Cup guys are flying.
Guys, I just have to start off this interview. The more I get to know you guys, the more I love you. And I know that you guys are famous rock stars and famous race car drivers and the whole deal. But I got to do something that I think is cooler than what you got to do so far in Talladega. Besides being a race truck. I know, you're looking at me, Carson, going, Johnny D, come on, I want to be going 200 and some miles per hour around Talladega. Nothing's cooler than that. What's the coolest thing that you've got to do so far here in Talladega?
Well, he's never been so
it's first time. So did you take him to the boulevard last night?
I wasn't here, but I think he might have. I went to the boulevard and Elvis was definitely alive last night.
Well, Carson, first of all, I got to say that the hat. Do you have a hat picked out or what?
I did.
Because that is not the hat that I think that you're going to be wearing today.
No, definitely
Are you going to tell us about it or no?
It's from a movie again.
Okay.
But, no, I realized that if I wear it before, everybody's gonna get really greedy and take a picture of it. So I stave it for pre-race.
Oh, nice. Okay, so getting back to the coolest thing, what's the coolest thing that you've got to do in Talladega besides being the race truck?
I've been to the boulevard a few times.
That you can say in front of us.
Well, I can't say a lot of it. But I've been to the boulevard. I've seen the sights and sounds. Honestly, the coolest thing I've done here wasn't a racetrack. My first Xfinity race here, that was back when we could tandem, and I was running like 20th, and I had Junior behind me, and he decided to latch on my bumper and push me all the way to the lead. As soon as we took the lead, he looked back and he went on to lead.